afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Arvada Police Department's Awards Ceremony. I'm very pleased that we're once again at the Arvada Center. The staff is amazing here, and we are very grateful that we can once again utilize this wonderful venue for this special event. I'd like to begin today by thanking the two of the main people. There's a lot of people behind this that make this work, and I'd like to begin by thanking Susan Medina and Rachel Fass for all of the work that they've done to support the effort of having the awards ceremony today. They've done all the coordination, getting everything ready, and we're very thankful to them for doing this for us today. So I want to talk a little bit about how this is going to go so everybody knows. When your name is called, if you'll please come down to my left, your right along the stage here, and when you get up here, you'll see there's a white X, and we have that there for you to stand on or near so that we can take pictures. Everything's already set up for that. I would appreciate it if you would do that, and then when we're done, just exit directly off to the right of the stage. Today's ceremony will be filled with citizen awards, student recognition, scholarship presentations, plaques given to fellow city employees, and of course honoring members of the Arvada Police Department. For the sake of time, we're not going to read the nominations for those who were not able to join us today, but please rest assured that we will be presenting those awards at a later date. I want to thank a couple of people who are here today for being in attendance. Without the support of our community members as well as members of the city staff, we couldn't really do our jobs. And first I'd like to recognize one of our city council members, Rachel Zenzinger, for being here today. Rachel, thanks for coming. In addition to that, we have a couple of our city staff members, our Deputy City Manager, Bill Ray, and also out of the City Manager's office, Maria Vander Kolk and Vicki Ryer, and thank you for being here and supporting the Arvada Police Department. And I think Councilmember Shelley Cook, there she is back there. Thank you for being here. So before we begin making presentations, I would like to ask the audience to please stand, remove your hat, for the presentation of the colors by the Arvada Police Department Honor Guard, and please remain standing for the national anthem.
Stand by. Honor Guard, quick pitch, cut! Wrist center, cut! Ready, put! Right shoulder, pull! Colors, cut! Color turn, push! Honor guard, pull! Right there, pull! Sir, the colors are present.
Present the colors.
Parker, pull! Left about, pull! Honor guard, pull! Right, set, pull!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Order, horse. Color turn, horse. Honor guard, halt. Color center, face. Color center, face. Honor guard, forward, horse.
Thank you, and you may be seated. Each spring, the American Legion Post 161 honors a member of the Arvada Police Department as Officer of the Year. At this time, I would ask Legion Post Commander Frank Carney to join me on the stage along with Officer Chris Steiner. Is Chris able to be here today? Okay, Chris may not have been able to be here, so just to tell you a little bit about this, there's many reasons that Officer Steiner's been selected as Officer of the Year by the fine members of the American Legion Post 161. Hired in 1995, Officer Steiner has worked very hard, and his dedication to policing shines through in his service to the community. As a member of the traffic unit, Officer Steiner is remarkable in his enforcement and education efforts to ensure the safety of the Arvada's roads. One of the reasons that Chris has earned a slot as a core member of the team is because of his unparalleled knowledge in both laser crime scene, accident mapping, and reconstruction software. His knowledge and ability to use this software has made a dramatic difference in being able to visually recreate accidents occurring in the city. Chris has also lent his expertise with this software to members of the Criminal Investigations Bureau to assist in the recreation of crime scenes. Another area where Chris has been providing tremendous assistance is through the exploration of adopting an electronic ticketing program for the police department. Chris has been responsible for extensive research over the past 2 years, contributing a great deal of his time to design and testing of the system and coordinating with the evaluation team. The traffic unit purchased state-of-the-art laser mapping equipment last year, and Chris conducted a majority of the research into identifying the best equipment that meets the needs of the department along with this project as well. It's apparent to anyone around him and beyond the walls of the police department that Chris is a dedicated member of the department and works hard at providing traffic enforcement safety for those of our community. I'm honored that he's been named Officer of the Year by American Legion Post 161. And Frank, I'd like to thank you and the Legion for recognizing Chris, and I will ensure that Chris receives this award that you've given him today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Would you like to say anything?
I have been the unprecedented commander of American Legion Post now for 12 years, which is, like I say, it's unprecedented. However, I've been involved in this ceremony all those years, and it's always a great honor for me to be here, address the people present, honor an officer, and also to recognize the efforts of his fellow officers in the city of Arvada. And believe me, you have all of the support that we can possibly give for our members of the American Legion Post. And thank you all for your service, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. I'd like to now introduce Commander Link Strait.
If I could have Cassandra Blanchard, Cassandra here, okay. Matthew Knight and Logan Buckner join me up here on stage. National Law Enforcement Memorial Week has just passed. This is a time for police departments across the country to honor those who've made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of their community. Sadly, Arvada has lost 2 officers in the service of their community. One of these, Officer Michael Northey, was killed making a traffic stop in 1979. There was tremendous community support for Mike's police family and his immediate family, who grieved his loss. In addition to cards and letters and phone calls to the Arvada Police Department, the community made monetary donations to an organization in Mike's name. From the generosity of our very own community, the W. Michael Northey Foundation was established in 1982. Through fundraisers such as golf tournaments, community events like the annual Shred-a-thon, the Michael Northey Foundation has touched the lives of many students. That is the greatest legacy we can give Officer Michael Northey, more than 30 years after his tragic death. At this time, I'm going to tell you about this year's scholarship recipients, and then we'll make the plaque presentations. If you would please hold your applause until the end, it would be appreciated. In 2011, 3 scholarship winners were named and joined me here on stage. They are all current members of the Arvada Police Department's Explorer Post, where they are learning all aspects of policing in the early stages of their law enforcement careers. As a police explorer, Cassandra Blanchard takes part in ride-alongs, liquor compliance checks, law enforcement conferences for explorers, and has assisted the Arvada Police Department and their officers at events such as the 4th of July, St. Anne's Bazaar, and the Community Shred-a-thon, which we talked about. In addition to her involvement with the Explorers, she's an employee of the Marriott hotel chain and a student at Metropolitan State College in Denver, where she's just a few hours shy of earning her degree. Cassandra's essay for the scholarship process talked about why she wanted to become a police officer. She was first drawn to the profession because she thought it would be fun to drive a police car. What do you think? It's apparent that through her education and experience, she's enhancing core characteristics such as honesty, integrity, and good judgment that are so critical to those aspiring to serve as police officers. With that understanding, it's obvious that Cassandra is on her way to a bright future in policing. Our next Northey Scholarship winner is Logan Buckner, who has been a member of the Arvada Police Department's Explorer Post since 2009. Logan began his college work in 2010 and set the tone for a stellar academic career, earning a 4.0 GPA in his first semester. Logan is building upon his high school academic success where he graduated in the top 20% at Ralston Valley High School, and he was a member of the National Honor Society. When Logan's not studying, you can find him playing on the Metro State Club's baseball team. And when he's not on the diamond playing, he spends a lot of time umpiring youth baseball games. It's great training, or should be, preparation for handling situations with angry citizens on some traffic stops. Logan was introduced to policing at a very young age due to the fact his uncle is a member of the Westminster Police Department. It's seeing his uncle's commitment to the profession and the exciting assignments such as SWAT that sparked a fire for his own passion pursuing a career in this field. It's apparent to those around him that Logan is a hard worker and dedicated to pursuing a career in law enforcement, and we're happy for that. Our third Northern Scholarship winner is Mike Knight. He's been part of the Arvada Police Department's Explorer Post just shy of 2 years. Just as the other explorers joining us today, Mike has been active in community events and efforts to discover the components of law enforcement. He medaled at the National Explorer Post Conference in the category of citizen contacts last year. In reviewing Mike's scholarship application, it's apparent he's committed to community service. When he's away from school and the Arvada Police Department, he works for the YMCA as a child care program leader. In his essay for the scholarship, Mike talked about how he's committed to helping people. And one of the most rewarding aspects of policing is building a strong rapport with members of the community, a quality that we truly value here at the Arvada Police Department. Mike has a 3.14 GPA and he plans to attend school during the summer to obtain his degree as quickly as possible. Don't rush it too much. I want to thank you all for the commitment to the Arvada Police Department's Explorer Post, and I wish you luck on your journey to become police officers. Congratulations on being named the 2011 W. Michael Northey Scholarship winners. Each of them will receive $2,000 to be applied to their college fees. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Commander Kathy Foose, and I would like the following elementary students to please come up here on the stage. Would Chloe Letike please come up? She's from Excel Academy. Gabrielle Life from St. Anne's, and Molly Cheer from Fremont Elementary. Go ahead and turn around. Okay. For the past 3 years, second grade students across Arvada have submitted entries as part of the Arvada Police Department's Appreciation Contest sponsored by the Citizens Police Academy Arvada alumni. And up here with me to present these awards is the president of the Alumni Association, Gentry Kendall. And I also want to ask all the other volunteers that are here if you would please stand up. And also let you know they have given us so much support over the last decade. And actually last weekend during our Law Enforcement Appreciation Week, they actually detailed all of our patrol cars on Saturday. So if you can give an applaud to our Citizens Alumni Association, that would be really nice. So in this Law Appreciation Contest, the students were to write their thoughts about the work of members of the department and to show their appreciation through brightly colored drawings. Common themes in the past have been police officers catching robbers, and not just any robbers. These were bank robbers. They have also been pictures of officers helping children and police cars of all sizes, shapes, and colors. We would like the students in the community to let them know how much we all appreciate their kind words and drawings about the work that we do. 3 winners were selected this year, the first being Gabby. Raise your hand. She's a second grade student at St. Anne's, and Gabby's overview, she said, "I appreciate Arvada Police because they save people's lives because robbers could get in people's homes. And I appreciate them because I could get really hurt from not wearing my seatbelt." Her colorful picture, complete with a brilliant sun, is being shown on the screen right now. Our next entry is from Chloe. She's from Excel Academy. Chloe's picture is of a very dejected-looking bank robber, and he's on the screen. Chloe wrote, "I appreciate the Arvada police officers because they protect our community and save lives every day. I hope the police and their families stay safe too. I am very thankful for them." And she spelled the "to" correctly in here. This was a kind and thoughtful overview, and Chloe, we appreciate you recognizing our families. Our final entry comes from Molly, a second grader from Fremont Elementary. Her colorful drawing is being shown on the screen right now. And what you might not be able to see is the officer's badge was decorated with silver glitter in the original drawing. And here's what Molly wrote. "Here are the 3 things I appreciate about Arvada police officers. They keep us safe, they're always alert, and they help out at community functions." So at this time, I would like to present the special chief citation for our award winners, along with a Target gift card from the Alumni Association for $20, so you guys can go out and buy some fun things.
Good afternoon. I'm Commander Lee Pinover. Would Mike Nicholas, Dan Pumphrey, and Jerry Cole join me on stage, please? Mike, if you'd go ahead and wave to everybody so they know which one you are. And Dan and Jerry on the end. Just in the order I called them out, they're well trained. You know, oftentimes we remind our citizens about the importance of being vigilant in their daily lives, to be on the lookout for things that seem suspicious or out of the ordinary. This is a situation where 3 City of Arvada employees not only were alert, but also demonstrated their readiness and willingness to act. In late February of this year, Mike Nicholas, an equipment operator with our Public Works Department, was washing some equipment at the city shops facility at 67th Avenue and Indiana Street when he spotted a man pounding on a Dodge pickup truck with an unknown object. The truck was parked in the Jeffco School's bus barn parking lot adjacent to the city shops facility. Upon seeing this, Mike ran toward the truck to stop the man from causing any more damage to this pickup truck. As he ran toward the truck, Mike yelled for assistance from his fellow workers, Jerry Cole and Dan Pumphrey. When the suspect realized that he'd been spotted, he jumped on his bicycle and tried to escape before being caught. This trio followed the suspect into the tree-lined greenbelt area near the Westwoods Golf Course. Now, we don't know whether this suspect was a deficient bicycle rider or these guys were just really fast. But they caught up with this suspect in short order. After failing to heed their commands to stop, the trio tackled the suspect and held him until Arvada Police Corporal David Everett could arrive on scene. The later investigation by Corporal Everett found that the suspect was armed with wooden nunchakus, which is a martial arts fighting weapon, and also a hammer that he had used to cause thousands of dollars in damage to this pickup truck. The impetus for this destructive act stemmed from a road rage incident between the suspect and the truck's owner, who was a Jeffco school bus driver. After a verbal altercation between those two, the suspect went home to gather his weapons, returned to the Indiana Shops property, and proceeded to pound on the victim's vehicle. Without the alert responses of these City of Arvada employees, this incident could have gone unresolved. However, through the persistence and selfless acts demonstrated by these men, the suspect was not only caught, but faces multiple charges, as well as restitution responsibility for the damage he caused. Gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present you with a police commendation for your heroic actions recorded earlier this year. Congratulations.
My name is Commander Gary Hutchcraft, and unfortunately we were advised just as we were getting started today that the presentation that I was to do to 3 other city employees was not going to take place due to some scheduling issues, so I will be presenting that award to them at one of their unit meetings coming up in the very near future. But I wanted to give just a couple of brief comments about what they accomplished for our community in regards to the placement of over 150 community awareness signs in regards to car break-ins or what we call first-degree criminal trespasses. We on command staff are briefed on a weekly basis about first-degree criminal trespass and other crime trends, and it's very seldom that we ever see first-degree criminal trespasses in anything other than at least the double digits. And so we've looked at several options on things that we could do to educate our community about this, and through an idea of one of our sergeants, these signs were manufactured based on a design through the Denver Police Department, and I'm sure many of you have seen them. They are blue and red and white signs throughout the city in numerous private parking lots. And 3 of our city employees, Larry Foltz, Jackie Roan, and Jerry Tyler, who again were not able to be here today, will be receiving a police commendation for their efforts in placing currently over 150 of those signs. We've since had to place another order for signs because of their popularity, and thanks to them for their effort in getting these signs put out and hopefully alerting the community to keep their cars locked and not keep things of value in there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Deputy Chief Lynn Johnson. Could I invite Ernie Huron to come up to the stage, please, and also Donna Bartels? The chief thinks I'm too short for you to hear me. While Ernie is continuing to come up. We at the Arvada Police Department take great pride when citizens call us and want to help us in any way they can. In this particular case, Donna Bartels took her gratitude to great lengths and made a difference in the lives of many people in our community. Donna, who's a member of Arvada High School Special Education Unit, called me last month to express her support and appreciation for School Resource Officer Chris Gomez, who works at Arvada High School. Beyond her accolades to Chris for a job well done, Donna wanted to know how she could help the Arvada Police Department, and actually initially expressed interest in purchasing a bulletproof vest for Officer Gomez. When I told her that we do purchase bulletproof vests for our officers, she continued to want to know how she could help us. During that conversation, I advised Donna that there are a variety of different nonprofits that we at the police department are very supportive of. Included in that conversation was the Arvada Food Bank. The response to that conversation was that Donna at Arvada High School put together a fundraiser and food donation program that ended up netting
4 full boxes of food which have already been delivered to the food bank, and also collected nearly $200 in cash. Today I would just like to thank Donna and the members of Arvada High School who are part of this important event, and thank them for their time, their generosity, and their wonderful thoughts for the Arvada Police Department and the support of the food bank. I have the check here, and I would like Donna, if you would, to present that check to Ernie. And at the same time, I would like to thank you and present you with a citizen's commendation for the work you did for us.
Hi, I'm Vicki Pickett. I'm the communications manager here at the police department. Can I have Jody and Thomas Trapasso come down, please? Great. I'm here today to present a citizen commendation for the both of them. Dispatchers receive hundreds of thousands of calls every year. While most are mundane, some involve life and death situations, such as this.
Arvada 911.
Hi, yeah, my name is Rita Pasta. I'm at 5520 Allison Street, right there at Reno and Allison where the railroad track is at. And there's a white car sitting on the tracks. And I'm not sure when the next trains are by, but it's right there. It's just sitting on the tracks, like I don't know what it's doing, but he jumped the tracks. He's not where the road goes, where you would pass over the tracks. He's like on the tracks.
Is anybody in the car?
There is. And I don't know if the car's stuck or if he's purposely there. I don't know. He's like waiting for the next train or what his purpose is. He's just sitting there, jumping the tracks. He's just sitting there.
How many people are in the car?
I can't see how many people are in the car. I didn't go up to the car, so I don't know like who's all in there, but there's definitely somebody in there because the lights go off and on.
Okay, I'm going to keep you on the phone until we get out there.
So there's a train, do you think? There is a train coming.
We're getting people out there right now. I'm going to keep you on the phone, okay? Does he sound like he's stuck?
He sounds like he's stuck, but he jumped the tracks that we were not supposed to be, so I don't know what he was even thinking. Shit, it is coming. Oh my God, I don't want to get hurt, but I don't want to get hurt here. Oh my God, it's coming! Get out of the car! It's all quiet, cool. Get out of the car! What do I do? Yeah, get out of the car! I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. You dropped. The car's locked! The door's locked! Oh my God!
The door is locked to the vehicle?
Get out!
Is the door locked?
No, you get out! You get out!
Is the door locked to the car?
Come on, lady!
Are they out of the car?
Come on. Come on, lady, come on.
Are they out of the car?
Is there anybody else in the car with you? No. Come on.
Is everybody out of the car?
Yeah, she says there is. I don't see anybody. There's anybody else in there. She's staying right here, okay? Okay, no.
Was it an older lady?
An older lady. Here. Wait, the train is stopped.
The train is stopping?
Looks like the train is stopping.
Oh my God, this is where I was at.
What were you doing?
My car was closing up.
I know, but honey, that's not the street. The street's right here.
I couldn't see. The windshield was covered up.
Oh.
And I was
You don't drive, honey. But you can't see anything. You don't drive. Yeah. Let's sit down. Come here. Here's a cop.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, honey. You did an awesome job.
Okay,
thank you very much.
So as you heard from the call, Jody and Thomas Trapasso called 911 to report a car straddling the railroad tracks in the 5500 block of Allison Street last November. Within seconds of their initial call, the couple could see the light from the train barreling toward their location. The pair ran to the car and tried to get the attention of the driver. However, the car's doors were locked and the windows were covered with frost. Knowing the danger facing the driver, Jody and Thomas worked to enter the car and bring the elderly driver to safety as the train moved closer and closer. Without consideration of danger to themselves, this couple sprang to action and helped a fellow citizen who would surely have faced death if the train engineer could not stop in time. The good news is that the conductor of the train did indeed see the car and was able to stop prior to the intersection. However, the Trapassos had no knowledge of this. All they thought about was helping someone in need. And for their actions, it is the honor of the members of the Communication Center and the rest of the Arvada Police Department to present you with a citizen commendation. Good job.
Would Kelly Adams come up to the stage, please? There's Kelly. Today's award ceremony has recognized citizens who have stepped forward in the presence of danger to assist the police. As you will hear in this situation, this is a prime example of this taking place. On February 11th of this year, a Colorado State Patrol trooper was driving on Wadsworth Boulevard near 55th Avenue. He spotted two men yelling at each other in the RTD bus park and ride lot. It was apparent to the trooper that these men were just moments from a physical fight, as one of the men was armed with some type of pipe that he was holding above his head, which he appeared ready to swing. The trooper immediately stopped his vehicle to ensure that the situation did not escalate. As the CSP trooper began talking to one of the men involved in the argument, which had stemmed from a road rage incident, the conversation turned violent as one of the combatants began to attack the trooper. The trooper was on the ground, fighting to gain control of the situation when Kelly Adams spotted the struggle as he was eating lunch at a restaurant near the park and ride parking lot. Without consideration for his personal safety, Kelly ran from the restaurant to the aid of the trooper. With Kelly's assistance, the trooper was able to gain the upper hand and place the highly combative suspect into custody. While the trooper received cuts and other minor injuries as a result of the fight, the situation obviously could have been much, much worse. Because of Kelly's willingness to literally drop everything and come to the aid of the CSP trooper, he enabled him to regain control of the situation. Officers in the audience know that assaults against police officers have spiked in recent years. This situation demonstrates just how volatile even the simplest of contacts can quickly become. But with the heroism and willingness to lend a hand demonstrated by people such as Kelly Adams, it reminds us just how much support our police officers have in the community we serve. Now, I understand Kelly is a resident of Los Animas. Is that right? Is that near La Junta? Thank you for driving clear to Arvada today. If you're interested in moving to Arvada, we would love to have you. Kelly, thank you so much for helping this CSP trooper in his time of need. It is my honor and privilege to present you with a citizen commendation for your selfless, heroic actions. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Is John Torres here? All of the police award ceremonies are special, and it appears that there are specific ceremonies. This specific ceremony features many citizens who have performed heroically, especially in the face of danger. And this nomination is an example of another one, and I'm very honored to be presenting this one. As John Torres was driving in the area of 78th Avenue and Carr Street, he spotted an Arvada woman on the ground. She didn't fall. She didn't trip. Rather, she was being viciously attacked by two pit bulls trying to reach her puppy, Maverick, who she had been walking. As Peggy laid on the ground, shielding her puppy from the brutal attack, and in turn suffered a number of injuries herself, John stopped his car and ran to help. He grabbed the first thing he could find, a portion of a wooden split-railed fence, and began to strike the dog, both the dogs, to get them to stop their violent attack. At one point, one of the dogs rushed Mr. Torres, and he struck that dog to ensure no further injury occurred to anyone involved. The attacking dogs ran away, and police, EMS, and our animal management unit were called to the scene. Once the victim received medical attention and her puppy was evaluated, the animal management officers began to canvass the neighborhood to locate the attacking dogs, but they were not successful. Meanwhile, the puppy required life-saving efforts at an animal urgent care center in Arvada, while the victim was taken to an area hospital as she suffered a broken hand, deep gashes, and many bruises from the fact the dogs had dragged her and her puppy nearly 90 feet during the attack. As John returned to the area the next day to check on the well-being of Peggy, he spotted the 2 pit bulls involved in the attack, and he immediately called animal management, and Officer Perez was able to identify the residence where the dogs lived. She contacted the owners, they were cited, and ultimately, the dogs are no longer a risk to our community. Peggy's here with us to honor John. And on behalf of the Animal Management Unit and the Arvada Police Department and the community of Arvada, thank you, John, for your quick, outstanding actions, and we'd like to present you with the Police Chief Citizen Commendation. Thank you very much.
I'm Commander James Keating, and the next recognition is a unit citation. So if I could have Sergeant Nazarek and members of the 2010 traffic unit come down, please. I think we have everybody here except Officer Chris Steiner, who you heard earlier was unable to make it today. 1984 may have been before some of our patrol officers were even born. But that was the last time that the city of Arvada did not record a single traffic accident-related fatality. That is until 2010. Now, I'm always guarded about giving too much credit for something like this where there's so many variables in play. But in addition to there being no traffic-related fatalities in 2010, that marked the 3rd year in a row that reported traffic accidents had declined in Arvada. And as any of you know who drive our streets, the traffic volume has not decreased over those years. It's gotten worse every year. So it's remarkable that the accident rate has gone down. Under the leadership of Sergeant Mark Nazarek, the unit prioritized enforcement activities at high accident locations around the city, while focusing attention around other high-volume, high-complaint areas, such as schools and well-traveled roads and neighborhoods. Not only did they patrol the streets, education about traffic-related issues was also a priority. Members of the traffic unit can oftentimes be found at community events to address citizen questions about traffic and to promote safe driving. Their education efforts about safe driving are also prominently featured in news articles and through the Arvada Police Department's web and other social media sites. The traffic unit regularly teams with the Department of Revenue to conduct port of entry events to ensure semi-trucks and other large vehicles maintain safety standards. They also partner with other law enforcement agencies to pool their resources and have a broader impact related to the prevention of traffic accidents and drinking and driving. This is a cohesive team working each and every day to ensure the safety of Arvada's roads. Their pride in their work, their leadership, and their commitment to policing are all being recognized through a police chief citation. In addition to the individual citations, there will be a unit citation given to the traffic team recognizing their outstanding accomplishments.
Before I get started on this one, Matt, sorry, I think I might have called you Mike, right? Don't worry, the scholarship check's still good. This next one gives me a lot of pleasure to announce. This is another unit citation. And before I ask the members to come down, I'd like to ask the supervisors, because they were a large part of this unit. Can I have Sergeant Bob Vanderveen and Sergeant Jeff Warndorf come down here on the stage with me, please? This is in reference to a patrol team that did a significant amount of work and something that was really unprecedented on this organization. So if I could ask you guys to come down here and join me on stage. Officer Dennis Souter, Officer Jason Valverde, Officer Robert or Bobby Brooks, Officer Kelly Lechuga, Officer Trent Sathoff, Officer Paul Carroll, Officer Brandon Valdez, Officer Andrew or Drew Young, and Officer John Gregor Savage. Last year, this team worked the graveyard shift or the overnight shift. This was Team 7. And if you've seen any of the recent editions of the Arvada report or read any newspaper articles or heard what we were talking about earlier with criminal trespasses or car break-ins, you'll understand that we're working very hard to decrease the number of these trespasses or car break-ins. While education efforts have been a big part of the process, and please lock your doors, the entire police department is working to impact these crimes, from the crime analyst unit to the Criminal Investigations Bureau to patrol officers, especially this group that you see standing here in front of you today. In 2010, members of Team 7, again the overnight shift or the graveyard shift, made more than 30 arrests of suspects breaking into your cars. That's in 1 year's time. This resulted in more than 100 cases being solved, property being returned to crime victims, and that's just in the category of first-degree criminal trespasses. These numbers are truly astounding. This group of dedicated officers, just as an example, made 8 arrests in the course of one shift, ranging from DUIs, burglaries, and trespasses. This team is also responsible for arresting a trio of suspects responsible for thousands of dollars of vandalism to mailboxes throughout the city. The team's success was due, in large part, to their efforts in working together in their response to calls for service and making contacts with suspicious people on the overnight hours. The Arvada Police Department prides itself on its dedication to service and professionalism, and this group of officers embodies those principles. Thank you.
I have Officer John Welch and Officer Ryan Johnson join me. members of the traffic unit, by the way. An on-duty police officer is always alert to situations around them. It's safe to say even when they're off duty, they're alert to situations around them. So when officers Ryan Johnson and John Welch were completing paperwork out at the Indiana shops, we have a office space out there that the officers work in the west side of town use. Back in early February of this year, they didn't hesitate to respond when they detected smoke in the building where they were working at. The officers immediately began to investigate to identify the location of the possible fire. It appeared the smoke was coming from the Parks Department as they spotted flames just inside the door, a locked door. This wasn't a small fire by any means. The officers noted the flames were more than 6 feet in height. Officer Welch alerted dispatchers in our communications center that this was an active fire and to notify the Arvada Fire Department for response. In the meantime, Officer Johnson located a fire extinguisher in the area and began efforts to combat the flames until the arrival of the fire department. Had it not been for the alertness and quick response of Officers Johnson and Welch, there is a very good chance this fire would have caused significantly more damage to the building. Ultimately, investigators from the fire department determined that the fire was caused by spontaneous combustion from a pile of oil-covered rags that were left in the office. It is because of the outstanding actions of these officers in response to this situation that they are being presented with a police chief's citation.
Good afternoon. My name is Deputy Chief Gary Krager, and if I could have Ryan Dompier and Officer Julie Glenn join me. This award details the exemplary efforts of these officers as it relates to a domestic violence situation and an extremely dangerous criminal being apprehended. The Arvada police officers were called to the local King Soopers where an 83-year-old at-risk woman relayed that her son had ransacked her apartment and he was on drugs at the time. She had fled her home for fear of her safety and because of her son's actions. Officer Julie Glenn met with the victim, and in addition to obtaining some very specific information to assist the other officers who were responding to the call, she also arranged for the distraught woman to receive medical attention at Lutheran Hospital. Officers responding to the apartment did not find the suspect, but did confirm the victim's statements about the destruction to the property inside of her apartment. As officers continued to investigate, they learned that the 46-year-old suspect was wanted for an armed robbery warrant out of California, as well as other active warrants in the Denver area. It was also learned that the suspect in the case may have had connections to a shooting and a stabbing in Aurora, and that was currently being investigated. The initial call on the Arvada disturbance came to dispatch just after 4 p.m., and the officers, Julie Glenn and Ryan Dompier and others, continued to work the call into the evening and into the late hours to locate this dangerous criminal. Just after midnight, the officers received information that the suspect vehicle had moved from its previous location and was now located nearby his mother's apartment. Not knowing if the victim had been released from the hospital or whether she had returned home and the suspect was currently in her apartment with her, Officer Dompier and other officers set up in the hallways of the victim's apartment. A call in the home raised more suspicion that not only was the female inside the apartment, but also the suspect was there as well. In a clever piece of police work, the officers were able to get the suspect to leave the residence without tipping him to their presence. He was then later taken into custody without incident. The suspect's mother was also found in the apartment. She was very frightened as she was being held against her will. These officers worked to ensure the victim was okay and even called the Victim Outreach Information, that's our victim assistance group, to offer further assistance. Arvada officers also shared information about the incident occurring in our city with the Aurora detectives, and this appeared to be very helpful in that agency's ongoing investigation into the shooting and the stabbing. In fact, the Aurora police detective commented that Officer Dompier was very helpful and professional and mentioned his gratitude for the assistance he provided in the Aurora investigation. It is for these outstanding actions of the officers involved in the response to this extremely volatile situation that they will receive a police chief's commendation.
Could I get Officer Melanie Thornton to join me on stage, please? For those of you who have been to prior awards ceremonies, you may recognize Melanie. She's been here before. Melanie did an outstanding job. Melanie went above and beyond. These glowing accolades are from the members of Pridemark Ambulance regarding a first aid call that Melanie was sent to last year. When Melanie arrived at the home in the 6900 block of Van Street, she discovered a 57-year-old man suffering from an apparent heart attack. The man had stopped breathing as Melanie quickly evaluated him, and that's when she immediately began CPR efforts using her pocket mask and chest compressions. She did this until paramedics arrived. EMS workers relieved Melanie and continued to assist the man as he was transported to the hospital for immediate treatment. I'm happy to report that the heart attack victim was able to call the EMS workers and tell them personally after he received pacemaker and a defibrillator at the hospital where he recovered from his heart attack. Had it not been for Melanie's efforts, there's a very good chance the heart attack victim would not have survived. I echo the statements of the Pridemark staff in that Melanie saved this man's life. It is for these heroic actions that she's being honored today with the Arvada Police Department's Life Saving Award.
Could I have Sergeant Chris Rivera, Officer P.J. McDonald, Officer Gordon Beasley, and Officer Ryan Johnson join me? This recognition also includes Officer Crystal Norton, but she's currently in the hospital, I believe, giving birth to the next generation of police officers. And Sergeant Rivera is working graveyard and is probably asleep right now. One of the characteristics of members of our organization is their humble nature in performing their duties. They make a difference in the lives of citizens each and every day with little to no fanfare. They serve because they've been called to this profession, not because of the accolades they may receive. This next award was brought to our attention because a citizen wanted to publicly thank this group of officers for saving his life. In November of last year, officers were sent to a warehouse located in the 5600 block of Kendall Court on a call that a portion of the structure had collapsed and trapped a worker. Sergeant Chris Rivera and Officers Beasley, Johnson, McDonald, and Norton arrived on scene where they were instrumental in extracting a 58-year-old man who worked at the warehouse. The victim was rushed to the hospital where a trauma team went to work in treating the man's comprehensive injuries. He later contacted the police department to pass along his heartfelt thanks to the officers who assisted him that day. He stated, "I'm happy to report that I am now back at work part-time and able to walk with a cane and am regaining the use of my arm. I should be able to make a full recovery in less than a year. Thanks again to the officers who assisted me that day." I echo the sentiments of the victim in this event in expressing my thanks for your life-saving efforts. In recognition of your actions, it is my honor to present you with a Lifesaver Commendation.
Would Officer Carl Ballard please come up here? Last spring, Officer Carl Ballard was called to an Arvada home on a first aid call. The victim's husband made a frantic call to our communications center where he told dispatchers his wife was bleeding to death. Officer Ballard arrived within 2 minutes of the call to find an older woman suffering from extreme blood loss. While awaiting for the arrival of paramedics, he found items in the home to create a compress to cover and place over the wound to slow the rate of the bleeding. Paramedics arrived a short time later to provide further treatment and to transport her to the hospital. Because of the massive amount of blood loss from the gash in her leg, the woman had lost consciousness. Officer Ballard's efforts prior to the arrival of EMS members helped give the woman a chance to go to the hospital for treatment for the wound and her excessive loss of blood. This is just one example of Officer Ballard's outstanding actions he demonstrates on a daily basis. He has been called to service as a police officer for Arvada Police, and he's an exceptional member of our organization and my shift. It is my honor to present Carl with the department's life-saving commendation. Congratulations.
Well, there's been a lot of great stories today, as you've heard. And again, we'd like to thank the community and thank our employees for the work that they do. Before we close today, I want to thank Tomas Martinez for the great video work that he did for us today. If you got to see the presentation at the beginning, he did a great job. And again, to the Arvada Center staff for allowing us to be here and for hosting us today. Does the name Sergeant John McLaughlin sound familiar to anyone? He was one of the many, many heroes of 9/11. Sergeant McLaughlin was with the Port Authority Police and was working at a bus terminal a few miles north in Manhattan when Tower 1 was hit. Just like so many other emergency responders, he headed to the site to help. Unaware that both towers had now been hit, Sergeant McLaughlin assembled a team of Port Authority officers, and after changing fire into their fire gear, the 4 officers went and followed McLaughlin through the underground concourse level. They got about halfway between the towers when they heard an explosion. Tower 2 was coming down on top of them. Officers Amorso and Rodriguez were killed instantly. Sergeant McLaughlin and the other 2 men were trapped. But remarkably, one of the officers, Dominic Paluzzo, managed to dig himself out. He was trying to rescue his colleagues when there was another explosion. It was Tower 1 coming down. And Paluzzo, who had gotten free, was struck by a piece of concrete and was killed. Now, buried 30 feet beneath the rubble, there were 2 men left from the team, Sergeant McLaughlin and Officer Jimeno. Knowing the chances were very remote that they would be saved, Sergeant McLaughlin reached for his radio, and although communications were down, he tried to send a final message to his family and one for Officer Jimeno's wife, who was 7 months pregnant. Night fell, and by 8:00 p.m. on September 11th, they had been buried for more than 10 hours. That was when Officer Jimeno heard voices, 2 Marines and a civilian. The trapped men yelled to alert the search team, and soon teams arrived and began their rescue operations. Digging at times with their bare hands, EMS workers freed Officer Jimeno at 11 p.m. the night of September 11th and rushed him to the hospital for medical care. Through the long night, first responders continued to dig and remove rubble that had trapped Sergeant John McLaughlin. At 7 a.m. on September 12th, 22 hours after being trapped, Sergeant McLaughlin was the last man pulled alive from the World Trade Center. Since that time, he's endured dozens of painful operations and years of physical therapy. He has served his community, he has served his country, and he is truly an American hero. As we approach the 10-year anniversary of 9/11 this fall, I can say with certainty that we will never forget. We will never forget the bravery shown by those emergency responders rushing into the towers, washed in smoke and fire. We will never forget the heroism of those who were involved in first battle and confronting the terrorists on Flight 93, nor will we ever forget the loss of nearly 3,000 innocent lives stolen in this senseless tragedy. As we reflect on the past, I also look to the future. I see a police department, our police department, filled with people who are just like Sergeant McLaughlin. The Arvada Police Department is comprised of men and women who will run toward danger and who serve and protect and who want to uphold the oath that they have taken. This oath is not to be taken lightly. It is something that we commit in full and for the entirety of our careers. So I thank you all for your exceptional and heroic service. I also thank your families for the unyielding support that they give to each and every member of the Arvada Police Department. And without their sacrifice, it would make our work much more difficult. And also, as importantly, I thank the community. You have heard the stories of our officers. You've heard the story of our community. There's no doubt that people are here to come to the aid when it's needed. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today and for staying, and I'd welcome you to stick around and meet everybody at the end of the ceremony today. Thank you so much for being here.